Welcome to Caregivers and Candid Conversation podcast. I am Lashina McBride, the host and the executive director of We Support Caregivers Incorporated. We Support Caregivers is a 501c3 organization whose mission is to encourage and empower individuals who care for their elderly loved ones to cultivate and focus on self-care. To make a donation or to learn more about us, please visit WeSupportCaregivers.org. And caregivers, while you're on our website, be sure to check out everything that we've made available to you. From our Care Connection emails that you can subscribe to, from our self-care support text that you can join, from our self-care support kits that you can sign up to possibly receive one, the birthday club, our free educational resources, and more. Again, visit WeSupportCaregivers.org and check all these resources that are available to you, the caregiver.
We all know that social media is full of information, but you have to keep scrolling to find what pertains to you. Well, caregivers, did you know that you can have your information about what we offer to caregivers delivered straight to your email? We Support Caregivers has created a newsletter just for you titled The Care Connection. It's delivered to your inbox once a month. Caregivers, stay connected and stay in the know by going to our website at www.WeSupportCaregivers.org and sign up today. Let us support you on your caregiving journey. We support caregivers because caregivers deserve self-care.
And we have Miss Monique Hawes here with us, and she is going to talk today about caregiving and marriage. I'm gonna let her introduce herself again. Of course, she's no stranger here because we've done prior podcasts with her, but she's back again with another podcast with us. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Go ahead, Miss Hawes.
Hello, everybody. This is Lori M. Hawes here, coming to answer some questions for you that I'm happy to answer. Sometimes people don't know the avenues that they have or the things that other people go through. So I'm here to help.
Yes, I appreciate you. So again, this podcast, we're focusing on caregiving and marriage. Many caregivers are married and they fall into the role of being a caregiver. So I know that was your position when you started taking care of your mom. You were married and then you became her caregiver. Yes. So this tells about that process and, some adjusting. How was that adjustment period for you? What did you have to do and things like that?
Well, I was fortunate enough my mom lived in New York. Mm-hmm. So we always intended to do an add-on to the house. Okay. So that when she retired, she would have room to come home to. Okay. She would have her own room to come to. So we had already started that process to build what they called the mother-in-law suite. So whenever she was ready to come home, the room was there. Okay. But it just so happened, by the grace of God, I always say, my mom fell when she was in New York and she shattered her arm. Mm-hmm. And when they called me that night to tell me that they needed me to come to New York to get her, when I got there, I thought, okay, I'm just going to be gone. Her arm is shattered. I need to take care of her until this clears up. Right. Well, the doctor pulled me aside and he says, I cannot talk to you here. I need you to meet me across the street. Wow. And I said, okay. So I met him across the street and he told me that when you get home, you need to immediately take your mother to a kidney doctor. She has kidney problems. And that began the process of me becoming a caretaker. It was unspoken. Yes. But anytime something happened to Mom, then you just coming home. That's it. It's no question. That was something that me and my husband had always talked about. Okay. People have that. Some people that are married believe that mom should come first and then the wife.
That's out of order, but go ahead.
Right. Right. Because you done moved out of the house now. It's one Mrs. Halls now.
Right.
But we were never the type of couple to put our self in the situation to whether we had to choose between parents, because that's just not happening.
Right.
They get sick. Whoever got the room, that's where they going.
Right.
And we're going to figure it out along the way.
Nice.
That's what we did.
So to interject, people who are married, that conversation got to come up prior, because the conversation, you and your husband had a conversation prior because both your parents was living at the time. You already had that conversation. So I say one of the keys would probably be proactive, have the conversation. What are we going to do? What does it look like when mom got to come stay with us? When your mom got to come stay with us, dad, that conversation has to be spoken of or, talked about, so you have a plan. So I would say the first thing that we need to do is have the conversation.
Look, when we got engaged, that was the conversation.
Okay.
What's going to happen to these mamas? Both of ours was alive.
Right.
Something go on. What's going to happen to our mama?
Right.
We can't be passing them around, and it can't be no question mark.
That's right.
My mama coming home.
I know that's right.
Your mama coming home.
Right.
This is it. But the difference between me and my husband is he has 4 other siblings.
Okay.
It was just me and my brother.
Okay.
And his mom lived in South Carolina, and my mom lived in New York.
Right.
But we are in the family home.
Okay.
So this is the house that I grew up in.
Oh, okay.
But I don't care. Them 2 women get sick. I call them birds. Them 2 birds get sick. They come in here.
Right.
And we're going to work it out. And we're going to figure out
right.
what it is. If his siblings don't have a solution, because they all lived in the same city as her. In the same state. They all lived like within 15, 20 minutes of mama.
Okay.
So if they can't do it, then look, this is it.
Okay.
So you have to have that conversation.
Okay. So you had the conversation. Mom came to stay with you. I know you and your brother took turns either dropping her off or picking up from dialysis. So what adjustments did you have to make? What adjustments did you and your husband have to make when your mom had to come stay? Like, what was that like, the adjustment period?
Well, see, we had already planned for it.
Okay.
So the room was already there.
Oh, it was already there. Okay.
The room was already there. It was her room.
It was her room.
It was her room. The whole house was redone contingent upon her coming home from New York.
Okay.
Because when she was up there, she would take vacation and she would stay home like 30 days, 40 days.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
So she was back and forth.
Okay. It was already her room. Was there.
And so it was already her room. So, but when she would come home during that time, the kids were still young. And so she would sleep on the couch or whatever. And then I was like, okay, well, she need a room because she ain't going to be in New York forever.
Right.
She needed, and by that time, the kids would be growing up, but she had specifics.
I'm sure.
She had specifics. She did not want her bathroom outside her room. She wanted it inside her room. Mm-hmm. So we did that.
Right, that's nice. So you made the necessary accommodations for your mom.
So when I left that night at 1:00 in the morning, called my brother and said, you need to meet me because we got to go to New York. When she came home, she already had her room. And when we would talk, because me and my mom would talk every other day when she was in New York. And she don't let nobody sleep in my room. Don't let nobody do this in my room. Tell them to keep their tail out of my room. And it was fully furnished. Mm-hmm. We went out. We purchased everything. She had her bed. That's nice. Had her dressers. She had everything. So when she came home, that really wasn't the adjustment because it was already there.
Right. So what was the biggest adjustment? Because again, you're married. You and your husband got to cultivate your marriage, make time for each other, making time for being parents. I don't know if that time you got but where did you have to make the adjustment? Okay, you already had the housing accommodations for your mom, but what about the adjustment that you had to make in your marriage? What was that like with time and spending time with one another? how did it put a damper on things? I want to assume it did in some kind of way. Because even though the housing, part was taken care of, but still the attention as your mom progressed and renal failure and certain complications, that I know for me, and I'm not married, I had to make certain accommodations for my mom. Mm-hmm. So that part, share that part, those type of accommodations or challenges your husband had to make adjustments or overcome when mom came. Like, how did that all work cohesively?
Well, the good thing was she loved my husband.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
So it was just an easy transition for her to come in, and because our schedules, me and my husband have a rule. You work all you want to, but 12 o'clock, we both better be in that house and we both better be in that bed.
Okay.
Ain't no sleeping without each other.
Okay. So that's something that was the rule. You know, the standard in your marriage.
That's right.
Both of you worked.
Right.
But at 12 o'clock, we need to be in the bed, home.
We in the house.
In the house.
We ain't got to be in the bed.
Right.
But we under the same roof.
Right.
And ain't nobody going out.
Right. So some standards got to be placed.
Yes.
You got to implement some standards.
And my mom ate 6 to 8 times a day. Actually, 8 times a day. So It was an adjustment of learning what she liked to eat.
Okay.
How to cook for her.
Okay.
How to prepare her food, because if she ain't like it, she was going to tell you. And my husband can't cook. So that was an adjustment.
Okay.
Just being scared.
Okay, that's honest.
Was an adjustment, because I was like, she's got renal kidney failure.
Yeah.
I don't know how bad yet, but this doctor is telling me. So it was a lot of crying, a lot of
emotional.
I had to get it out.
Yeah, that's right.
Because when the time came, I had to be strong for her.
Right.
Because I didn't know what they was going to tell me. And at that point, I was fearing the unknown.
Right.
So
that's honest. So let's elaborate on that. So when you got the news, because I don't think this is elaborated on enough, because when you get the news, it's like, okay, what you had to, in a way, you was afraid of what's going to happen. You already had a living situation. It was more so managing your mom's condition, like all that entailed. You had to get education on renal failure.
What does that mean?
Right.
What is that?
Right.
What do you mean her kidneys are not working?
Right.
And he was like, if she hadn't failed, you probably would have came to New York and found her dead.
Jesus.
And I was like, so, how many stages is it?
Right.
And all of these things that me and my husband would sit up and talk about late night, and it was, I don't know, because I had to find a nephrologist.
Yep.
And Anita Murphy
yep.
was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we're going through the stages of, she was like, your mama's in stage 4 kidney failure.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Right. What does that look like?
Yeah. And she was like, my mom was like, well, whoever the doctor, which is why they had to pull me across the street, because the doctor was breaching his oath or whatever for the colleague, because this particular doctor kept telling my mother that she would not need dialysis. And she did.
Absolutely did.
Yes, absolutely did. And so that was going to the courses, figuring out what was going to be the best solution for her. They were really pushing, you can do this at home.
Yep, that's true.
No, I don't like blood. No.
Right.
I cannot, I will not do this at home.
Right.
Somebody going to be using some smelling salt on me, because I'm going to tell you, if you bleed in front of me, I'm passing out. It's just not happening. Right. I don't do it. So it was going to the classes, and then having to, I never forget the day Miss Murthy told me, she said, I'm going to start her on dialysis immediately. Mm-hmm. She's not sick right yet, but I don't want her to get sick, and then I have to try to pull her back.
Right.
My mom broke like nobody's business, because this doctor had told her in New York,
not being honest,
that she
the numbers don't lie. The blood don't lie.
Right.
It don't lie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom trusted him wholeheartedly, and he was telling her, "No, you don't need dialysis." And she worked in a hospital, so she knew this stuff. She's been around dialysis patients. I don't know if it was denial for her.
Yes, that's what it was,
or what it was. But I had to move fast then, which meant, okay, I got to go home and I got to talk to my husband. And then we were going to do that the last session that we had, where we made the decision that we were going to come in and what days we were going to come in. And then I went home to talk to him, and he was sitting with this look on his face. And I was like, what's wrong? He was like, my mom's got this knot on the back of her head.
Wow. So both
it's
parents.
Not good. Okay?
Let me stop you. How far apart from your mom, you learned that she had to have dialysis, she's now there. If you can remember, what's that?
Week and a half.
Oh my gosh, y'all got a double whammy.
Week and a half. So now it's phone call after phone call and after phone call. And this was the difference between, I don't like to say my family and his family, but I'm going to use that for just right now because we're all family.
Correct.
The difference between my family and his family, it was just me and my brother. So when I went to the doctor and I had to relay something to him, I related to him the same way it was relayed to me.
Correct.
Or he either came with me.
Right.
With my husband's, he had to depend on a sibling to explain it. And depending on what sibling it was,
information could have got misconstrued.
A little bit. A little bit.
Okay.
So we had to deal with that. And what ended up happening is his baby sister took control.
Okay.
Because she kind of lived in the house with mama.
All right. Because that was my thing too. I was the one that was solely, more so in control of my mom's care. I was the power of attorney, medical power of attorney. My oldest sister shared medical power of attorney with me, but it still primarily fell on me because, again, she's married and stuff like that. So I understand. So she was, and your husband's sister was the baby?
Yes.
Yeah. And,
is the baby. Is the baby.
Yes. And yes, I was for me too.
And so, like, when we're talking now, if I say mom, that's my mom.
Mm-hmm.
If I say mama, that's his mom.
Got you.
So she took on the bulk of the responsibility dealing with that and being on the phone and having phone conferences, which is what we did a lot, had phone conferences on the progress of mama and the financial of how they had to pull together, and this has to be done and this has to be done.
Oh yes.
Everybody not on the same page. So, okay, I don't have those funds.
Right.
Okay, so then he had to come back here and say, okay, well, Mo, they don't have the funds here and we got to have this, and this. And so I was like, okay, you know what? We just got to do what we got to do.
Right.
We got to do what we got to do. If you need them funds right now, I got you. I got this right here. I got the house. I got the finances over here. Until we can switch it around. Whatever is needed, you go ahead and do it.
Right. So to stop you, when both your parents pretty much became sick around the same time, or you discovered that both your parents became sick and y'all had to take on those roles, you already had a plan for your mother, but it took some level of compromise. Because if you're saying you're handling the household, finances until things are worked out, while he and his siblings are working out the finances for his mom, it took a level of compromise. So when caregivers are married, it's going to take some level of compromise.
Absolutely.
When you have to care for a parent or either both of, your parents. So
absolutely,
you got to be proactive before you even get married, especially when your parents are still living.
Right.
Both parties got to be like, okay, what are we going to do about our parents?
Right.
Have a plan in place, be proactive, you know what I mean? And things of that nature. And then you also have to compromise.
Go ahead. Compromise. And you have to know your household and who is going to be involved in what you're doing. Because again, the kids were still living their lives. You don't want to put this on them.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things went on unbeknown to them because we didn't want to put that responsibility on them. These are our parents.
Yeah.
We need to take care of it. You don't need to be. Look, it's stressful for us.
Right.
So what we going to put that on somebody 18, 19 for?
Right.
They cannot handle it.
Yeah.
Let them live their lives. So a lot of things went on that they didn't even know.
Right, I'm sure.
Was going on because it was stressful for us. It was emotional for us.
Absolutely.
And the dynamics of the household for us, God always worked in our favor and made things a little easier because of our schedule. I was in a position to where if I needed to, I can come and go as I please.
That's nice.
At my job.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this job from home. I can literally every day run that hotel from my house.
That's wonderful. It's blessing.
With talking to them. So, and I'm not going in there saying, hey, can I? I'm talking about my mama. Look, This is what's going on.
That's right.
And I ain't going to be here. So, and it helped because of the dynamic of my brother. My brother worked overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So, he would stay at the hospital with her in the daytime. I would stay at night. Darren would come and he would check in, but he also has to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be at work.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot. And then when he had to go home, on the occasions when he had to go home, those were going to be extended times. Because it was going to be like 1 or 2 weeks because of what's going on.
Yeah.
But then what happened is Mama started having strokes. And after she had the first stroke, she kind of started going downhill.
Yeah.
She could no longer talk.
Mm-hmm.
Her motor skills were not the same. And then my sister, Delta, was under tremendous stress because she worked in the hospital, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, for our parents, look, they use the bathroom. Somebody got to wipe them.
Right.
Somebody got to change that bedpan.
Yeah.
Somebody got to pull them dookie sheets off the bed. Not everybody's equipped to do that.
Not everybody's equipped. You're right.
You just can't. And you have to know as a sibling, you cannot get upset.
Right.
You cannot get upset because they can't handle that. You feel like they should be able to.
Or make the sacrifice because it's their parent as well.
Right. But if you can't, you can't.
Right.
Find something else for them to do.
There you go. Because that's why I was going to stop and interject. I was like, okay, if they're not the ones that can deal with that, then here's what I need you to do do something else that can still cater to the circumstance.
Right.
So don't just back out. That don't give you a card or excuse to back out to not to do nothing. No, we're going to find another avenue that you can work that can still work with everything that's going on, that can still be a support to the situation.
Right.
Because no, that's not an excuse.
Right.
That's because look, you couldn't handle blood, but you still had to bring her to dialysis. You still had to pick her up. Yeah, I mean, so I just think there's a level of sacrifices people have to make. We talk about your mom, your dad, and them. There's sacrifices level that you have to make because again, they made them for you. And I get it. Children don't want to feel obligated, but at the end of the day, that's your mom. That's your dad. You know what I mean?
I didn't even feel obligated. Mm-hmm. It's like a unspoken rule.
Right, exactly.
My mama go down, I'm going down.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. I ain't asking nobody no questions.
That's right.
I'm gonna do for my mama.
There you go.
That's it. That's my
how
mama.
it was. Yeah,
I don't get but one, and that's how I felt about my mama. That's how I felt about his mama. Mm-hmm. This is what we need to do. We're gonna make it work.
Right.
I don't know the first time we had to get him a hospice flight because my sister had called and she was like, it's not good. And it was just so amazing at how the family pulled together. Mm-hmm. My husband, I was coming home. He called me. I couldn't even understand what he was saying.
Wow.
All I knew was I had to go. I had to go.
Right.
But my husband crying. I'm going.
Right.
I got to the house. He was on the floor crying.
Jesus.
The dog literally was trying to pick him up.
Oh my gosh.
Because he knew something. He was trying to pack his bags. He couldn't get the stuff in the bags. My daughter was on, my oldest daughter, Marquita, was on the phone trying to get these hospice flights, trying to get all of these things. And everybody just pulled together to get him to South Carolina because it was no driving.
Right.
That's a 9-hour drive.
Oh, no.
7 if you speed.
Right.
You know, it wasn't no getting him there in time enough. And he just could not handle it. He could not handle it, and I hated it because one of us had to stay back. If you're not going to be working, then I need to be working.
Right. Yeah, that's how you made it work. Okay.
Yeah, so it was, each time was different, you know, of what we had to do. And we talked, and I was like, look, you go now. I got home. I got Mom. But if I need to, then I will be there.
Correct.
In 7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you call me, I'm coming.
Right.
But go now because you got your siblings down there. Y'all need to make these decisions. I can't make these decisions for you.
Right.
Because this is as a group. And then when he got down there, it was a lot of everybody not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of denial on their part. Mm-hmm. But she made it through that first stroke.
Okay.
But then the mobility wasn't there. The speech wasn't there.
So more care. She needed more care.
She needed more care.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mama was a pistol too.
Girl, these mom, I trust because my mom was too.
Mama did not like that nurse that they had up in there.
Oh, my mom was, I know.
And Mama made life for that nurse hell. She did. She did. She just didn't like it. And, you know, the family was, you know, torn apart because Mama done went from this lady who can be up and around and taking care of herself.
That's trauma.
To now.
To see the difference.
Yes. And what we gonna do? Because everybody got a different house. Everybody got their own house and their own family. What are we gonna do?
Right.
You know, what is gonna happen? So then, you know, we went on back to, I'm kind of learning what dialysis entails, me and my brother.
Right.
So it was, okay, me and Vince got this. We're going to be on conference calls for this for Mama. You and everybody else down there decide what you're going to do for this. Mm-hmm. And this is how we're going to move until something else happens.
Right. So to interject, so how you and your husband, you know, being married, it took pre-planning, being proactive. You knew in case something happened to the mamas, you had a plan in place. Then it took being proactive. It took planning. It took constant communication. It took sacrifice. It took some big sacrificing in order for each of you to still be married and, you know, cultivate your marriage and be the caregivers to each of your parents and collectively helping one another. Mm-hmm. So, we got to go into some challenges. Yes. That's what we're going to talk about, is some challenges. So, during taking care of, he's in South Carolina, you know, maybe coming back and forth, you know, from South Carolina to Virginia. How did y'all keep things going in the marriage, like your communication, spending time with each other? Or did you all say, for this period, we might have to put some things on hold that we want to do for our parents, and then we'll pick them up this time, but still the, you know, being intimate, you know, showing each other affection? Like, how did all that stuff still work? How did y'all all make that work and, you know, be married and still take care each, you know, parent?
Well, it was a strain.
Okay, the strain.
It was a strain. And at some point there was a rough patch because you get caught up. You get caught up in that day-to-day routine, and you're so tired. Then you come home and it's like ugh.
Right.
And the conversations begin to get redundant because it's only about what is going on. It's only about tragedy. It's only about difficulties. It doesn't seem like there's a light at the end of the tunnel because every time you're talking about something, it's not a good conversation, and things happen. Things happen because then you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. So one day turns to 2 days turns to a week, a week turns to a month, and then the next thing you know, you haven't connected like you should have.
Right.
Because you're going through the day-to-day routine.
Entrepreneurs, content creation should never be your concern. Socially Established LLC is a social media management business whose mission is to alleviate entrepreneurs and small business owners from managing their social media. Socially Established LLC offers content creation and social media management packages for your convenience. Remember, you were never meant to manage everything on your own. Visit sociallyestablished.com to choose your service package today. Socially Established LLC, establishing what entrepreneurs need.
So then little things start to become noticeable. You go to work and you confide in people. You talk about what's going on with your parents, and sometimes at work people tend to become close, and things happen. Okay. So then you start to notice, okay, we're not connecting like we're supposed to.
Right.
You don't want to talk about, this today. You just want one day so we don't have to talk about our parents being sick or anything. But then I'm like, okay, well, what you do today? How was your day? And then, it's a snappy answer.
Okay.
Well, what's wrong with you? I just asked you how you're doing, which in turn, I'm mad now. So, you know what? I ain't got time for you today.
Right.
I'm going to go do my own thing.
So would you say the stress of caregiving, you and your husband both focusing on each, parent, that bled into the marriage? That bled into the relationship?
It did. Mm-hmm. It did because, and then on top of that, one parent appears to be sicker than the other,
right? And
it's not going right, and you have to deal with this and
the emotion.
And even if you're on the phone talking to family members about it, it can get emotional and stressful if you're not on the same page.
Yes.
When you have to deal with siblings and everybody is not on the same page, it can get stressful. So you can get off the phone and you're mad at them, but then you come home and then you come back and you take it out on the spouse. Or you don't want to talk about it no more, so you just don't say anything, and before you know it, a week has gone by and something major happened and you're like, well, why didn't you tell me? And then it goes into a series of questions, and then you're getting upset because these series of questions, and then I was like, okay, something not right now. You snapping off for no reason, what is going on? And then, you got this and you go, okay, I'm going to put this to the side and I'm going to make a mental note right here that this went on. And then before you know it, some infidelity done happened.
Wow. So some infidelity took place in your marriage.
Some infidelity.
And that person was your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
Not
I. Right. Okay. Yes. So infidelity. So we can say, just summing up your whole situation at that time, y'all married. Both parents end up getting sick around the same time, and you two both have to, pay attention to each other parent. It bled into your relationship. To where y'all weren't connecting, coming together, being intimate. It kind of put a halt on proper communication.
Yes.
And so y'all kind of use each other as a punching bag, in a sense, when it comes to...
No, we stopped communicating.
Oh, wow.
We stopped communicating.
So to make a point in order to make adjustments and to make something as, you know, being a caregiver and then still having to focus on your marriage, you're going to have to communicate even during the tough times.
Right.
Even when you don't want to. And then maybe put some boundaries in place where, hey, after each other get off work or after each other take care of each other's parents, you give each other a moment of maybe an hour to just debrief, you know, having time to yourself, some self-care for yourself.
But you don't get that. You don't get that out.
Tag.
You don't get that out. Because you have some family members that time you to a T. They know you get off at 5 o'clock. They call you at 5:05. You don't get that.
So would you say you got to work harder with implementing boundaries?
Yes.
You got to work harder because, I mean, people only do what you allow. So no, you can get that if you put boundaries in place.
But right now, you both mad. You're both mad. You don't want to look at me and I don't want to look at you.
Wow.
So we ain't talking. I don't have nothing to say.
And that right there, being mad, is that seed, and it grows and grows.
Yep. I don't have nothing to say. Every time I look at you, you make me sick. I don't even know why. I don't even know why. But something ain't right.
Something ain't right.
And every time I ask you questions, then you got an attitude.
So you being a woman, you had that woman's intuition.
Mental note.
I know that we going through this. I know we're the stress of taking care of our parents, but he still ain't acting the way.
Right.
I done seen them other stressful moments we've been through outside of this, and this still something ain't right.
Yeah.
So your intuition of something still wasn't right was still gnawing at you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you do, you gonna make me mad. You gonna piss me off, and that's gonna get you out the house. And I'm gonna help you. Get on out of here.
Wow.
Gone. Get out my face.
Wow.
You know.
So would you say, this is candid conversations. We're going to be real about it. Would you say the stress of caregiving, it bled into the marriage and brought you to the point? Could you say that could have, not that you excuse it, not that it gives it a pass, not that, it justifies it, but would you say the stress of the caregiving, led to the infidelity, led to your husband breaking point of the infidelity? Would you say that was a cause, a trigger, a culprit in that?
According to him, yes.
Okay.
Because I did get an answer. What's up? What's wrong?
Okay.
Why? And he said he needed an outlet.
So
he needed an outlet, something fun, something light, something that wasn't so heavy every day. He needed that outlet.
Okay, so his excuse for the infidelity was all the stress with the caregiving. You coming home always want to talk about both parents, what to do. Because, being an outsider, it seemed like you want to communicate, but the communication was always consumed about the parents. It was never about y'all, the marriage, you two. It was more so the parents.
And it was fear.
Okay.
It was fear.
Okay.
Because he is now in a situation where his mama is not well. And she has lost her motor skills. She has lost this. And he a mama's boy. So.
Okay, yeah.
The thought of his mom not being around, he could not cope with it.
Right.
He could not cope with it. So with us talking about it all the time.
Constant reminder.
Yes. That, okay, this is going on. I need something that's going to make me laugh. I need something that's going to make me feel good.
So to interject in this situation, because again, there's our listeners, many of them are caregivers and they probably are married. They could be going through some challenges that could be brought on because of the fact of caregiving. What you're sharing today can help them say, okay, I don't want this to be us. So even though this is going on with maybe both our parents or one parent, yes, we got to take care of them, but yes, we still got to make sure we take care of us. So even though we talk about what's going on, okay, now we got to change the subject. When we're going to plan that vacation, when we're going to have some time to, focus on our marriage. And so some boundaries, there got to be some boundaries in place, even with the communication can't be consumed with, this was going on with mom. This is going on with my mom. it gotta be a change in the communication. So I would say to the caregivers listening who are married and could be facing some challenges, they have to be very diligent and intentional of making time for the marriage.
Right.
The marriage and some boundaries of, okay, this hour we're given to getting each other updated on each other parent condition, whatever. Then we're switching gears and we're going to talk about the vacation we're going to plan with each other, date night, put that on the schedule, the plan. It's going to be some very intentional, very.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it also, I can only tell you the answers that he gave me.
Right. Okay.
During that time, at times it got hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I was taking on everything financially,
okay.
And it made him feel less of a man.
Really? So can we stop there?
Yes.
Let me stop.
Yes.
So, the caregiving, you taking on financial responsibility because he needed to focus on his mom in South Carolina that was sick and not doing well. Him and his family there trying to make a plan for mom. Even though, now, how long y'all was married before the caregiving role came in with you taking care of your mom, him having...
Oh, years.
Okay, years. So, the answer he gave, and not, of course, it don't justify it, but he felt like that he felt less of a man because you had to take on the responsibility. But even though prior to that, I'm pretty sure he was in the role of, taking on the responsibility and stuff like that. And you only agreed to do it because of the pressing need of both parents. We ain't talking about one, two sick parents now.
Right.
And you alleviated him from the responsibility so he can focus on his mom in South Carolina, mm-hmm. And having a plan together with his siblings there on what to do for mom. So I don't know how I feel about that answer.
See, again, and I didn't either, but I can't be mad if that's his truth.
Right.
You can't ask the question and then get mad when they answer it truthfully. Mm-hmm. I just got to take it. Mm-hmm. That's it made.
So what was your response? Can I ask, what was your response to the answer?
I was like, it made you feel less than a man. What are you talking about?
Okay.
This is what people do. Give and take.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can be in the store
mm-hmm.
right now. We could be in Walmart. And I could be reaching for a 12-pack of soda. And I can pick it because I'm closer. I'm right there. He's on the outside of the cart. I'll pick it up and he'll say, now why you pick that up? Why are you making me look like less of a man? You're making me look like a poop butt. I never said that. I'm right here. I can pick it up. You put that on yourself. I did not put that on you. You need to stop thinking of yourself in that capacity. I said, look, I'm an independent woman. You're an independent man. Just because I pick up a case of soda, that don't make you less than a man.
Okay.
If I couldn't do it, then I would have asked you to do it.
So let me ask, okay, because I'm hearing deeper stuff talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something that he feels that at that time he felt insecure about? Was there ever other times in your marriage that did you ever use it as ammo? Look at you being less than in an argument.
I never. Look, one thing I don't believe in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a relationship, I never believe in telling somebody to get out unless you're done.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it unless I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you hear that from me, then you know I mean it.
Right.
Get out. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And I never throw stuff like that up in his face because he is a man. Men don't like that, to throw stuff. Am I holding it down? Yes, I am. Do you feel some type of way about it? Maybe, but then you need to talk to me about it.
Correct.
So, but at that point, it was nothing we could do because stuff was coming from over here. Money was needed over here to be done. So it was really nothing you could do.
So let me ask you this. When he would say that, was that during the time during the infidelity?
It was after I found out.
After you found out.
Mm-hmm. Because I needed all these answers.
That's
after I found out.
Right.
The first question was, okay, are you in love with her? Because we need to figure out what we're going to do from here. If you're in love with her, then get your stuff. And we can go and I can drop you off over her house.
Wow. Okay.
If you're not in love with her, then still get your coat because we're going over here. And we gonna put some stipulations on what's going on. I need her to know now that I know, and things need to cool down. And you're making a choice. I want you to make that choice right here, so it won't be no stipulations later. I need you to tell her, I ain't leaving my wife. This is such and such and such.
Right. But let me say this, because I'm still stuck on that that less of a man thing. Did you think he used that? Was that coming from a place of guilt? Was that coming from a place of him projecting like his own insecurity or some type of odd way of justifying some of the things that he...
No, I think it's part of his insecurity.
Okay.
His insecurity, I don't know why.
Was he always that way? Like, because you gotta know who you're marrying.
Yeah.
You gotta know who you marry. Like,
yeah.
For me, like, you know, just being single, I already know. I already know who I am, how I am. I make it kind of clear. I do make it clear to men, like, okay, this is the type of woman I am. Like, I'm not gonna dumb down, shrink down. I am who I am. I am that type of woman. So some men that's not really secure with who they are, I can rub them the wrong way with that.
Right.
But I'm just saying, your husband knew who you were before y'all got married.
He knew who I was, but I am evolving into me.
Okay.
And I'm becoming stronger.
Right.
That's an insecurity. Because, you know, it could be it could be something as small as making a decision, and I already got control over it.
Got you.
I already got it. So by the time I come home and tell you, I'm already taking care of it.
Okay.
You know, and that becomes an insecurity.
So because it could have been something that he kept inside about, and the whole infidelity brought that to the surface.
Right. She was someone. I hate to use these terms, but
okay,
because it's about another woman,
right?
But she was beneath him.
Okay.
And he was able to bring her up.
Okay.
You know,
during the infidelity stage.
Yes.
Okay.
That made him feel good. Because you can't upgrade me. Because
wow,
I'm the cream of the crop. You can't upgrade me.
I mean, I felt your whole vibe when you say you can't upgrade me. That's heavy. I felt that. I felt that, honey. You can't upgrade. I'm feeling that.
She can't walk in these shoes.
Right.
She can't even attempt to walk in these shoes.
Right.
So she made him feel good because she was not of his level,
and he felt like she was the project he worked on. You know, upgraded her, made him feel more needed, wanted.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But because you too strong right now.
And so, you know, and this is probably gonna be a whole nother podcast, because you said that you was evolving and growing. Did he not get adjusted to who you were evolving and growing?
Yeah.
Was he evolving and growing? See, that's a whole nother subject.
We're growing in the right direction.
Right.
But I don't have no in between.
Right.
It's one or the other.
Right.
It ain't no in between. Mm-hmm. He evolves and we grow in the same way, but I ain't taking no shorts from nobody.
Right, got you.
You know, you do something to me, I'm gonna let you know. That's right now. He's not that type.
Okay.
He's not that type. Okay. He's the type to, okay,
passive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But then again, you try to be assertive at the wrong times.
Okay.
You know, it don't match right here, right now. But me, always, because see, I'm always gonna fight for me, because if I ain't here, I got to worry about my family. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm not my daddy taught me well. My daddy, before he died, left this earth. He said, I'm gonna teach you to be your own woman, and I'm gonna teach you to do what you need to do to take care of yourself, so you don't have to lay on your back for nobody. That meant something to me.
Right.
I ain't taking it from nobody.
Right.
Now, people make mistakes. Infidelity is not a deal breaker for me.
Right, for you. Okay.
It's not. It's not for all people.
Right.
But it's not a deal breaker for me.
So, okay. So I'm keeping everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
So, y'all are married many years. Mm-hmm. Both of you had to end up becoming caregivers to your parents. Mm-hmm. That put a strain on your marriage. Mm-hmm. And it led to your husband or triggered your husband to, commit adultery. Like, infidelity.
Yep.
You're hit. So you find out about the infidelity. Obviously, you chose to stay together. Mm-hmm. Share with the listeners what needs to take place for, to move along in marriage after somebody cheats and you find out. What did you need from your husband to make the decision? A, we staying together. B, what did you do to work it out to stay together? And I want to believe now you're in a healthier place.
Yes.
So what did you do? The steps, the method. What did you need from your husband in order to make that decision? Okay, we staying, and this is how we're going to do things to progress and grow and recover from this. Share, because there could be other caregivers.
Well, first I needed to know where he was mentally.
Yes. Okay.
What is it that you want? Do you want here, mm-hmm. or you want to be in the street?
Right.
I just want you to be happy, but you're not going to make me miserable.
That's right.
If you don't want to be here, then we will have a meeting. We will talk to the kids, and we will let them know that we're parting ways, and you go be happy, and I will go be happy. Mm-hmm. If you want to be here, first thing we need to go address old girl. We need to do that right now. Okay. That's the first thing,
and that's what y'all did. That's what y'all chose to stay together.
Yeah. Second thing was she would use social media to get to us. So I had him go on social media and write a statement to let them know, yes, I did do this.
Oh, wow.
And I am choosing to stay with my wife, and this is what we're going to do.
So let me stop right there. So you told your husband, I'm going to need you to make a public declaration acknowledging what you did, okay?
Yep.
Taking ownership, accountability, all that.
Yep.
And letting everybody know that you are choosing to stay, because she was social media, according to you, the lady, whoever she was on social media a lot. So him doing that, let her know.
Because you know how I found out?
How you found out?
She was sending me text messages.
Oh my God.
But she sent a picture that they had took to my daughter's friend.
Oh, she done sent it to the kids. That's a whole nother level.
And my daughter doubled back and was like, have you seen this picture? And then I was like, no. And she got the picture and she showed it to me, and it was on right there.
Right.
So now you need to go on social media and you need to clear this up. Then we need to go to marriage counseling.
So marriage counseling. So steps. So what you needed from your husband for y'all to remain married. Number one, he had to take accountability. Yes. He need to come clean to you.
Yep.
Then he need to go on social media and make that declaration, listen, and take accountability. He did X, Y, Z. He's taking accountability for it, but he chose to stay married. It's done. It's over now. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So accountability. And then after that,
she kind of went berserk. She started doing things. She started slashing her tires. Oh. She started being crazy. And then I had to start being crazy. So, the whole family got involved. Right. And then in the end, he ended up putting her in jail.
Oh, wow.
Because she just would not stop.
Okay.
And then that because now you're trying to get to us through the kids, you're slashing tires.
Wow.
That pushed us closer together because now we got to fight her.
Okay. So let me stop here. Okay. After you found out about the infidelity, he made his public declaration on social media. You mentioned marriage counseling. So marriage counseling was in place. Y'all was doing that. But now because the female, found out that he was going to stay with you, she's starting to do all type of things out of character. But her doing that brought you and your husband closer.
Brought me and him closer because, it's 2:00 in the morning. We sit in the police station.
Oh,
and
wow.
She done slashed the tires.
Oh, goodness.
It's 4:00 in the morning. We down at the magistrate office because she's stalking him now and calling. And it kind of turned around and pushed us together. Now, in the beginning, I ain't gonna lie, I was still mad. I was like, you see what we're going through?
Right. You was hurt.
You see, but I'm proud of myself now because I don't even get mad no more.
Okay.
I don't even get mad no more. It doesn't.
Right.
It happened. We went through it.
It's your past.
We stay in marriage counseling.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go as much as we used to.
Okay.
But every now and then we check in.
That's right.
So
that's a real key strategy tip for caregivers who could be going through that in their marriage. Number one, when the infidelity, comes to surface, whoever that person is, they got to take accountability.
Right.
Come clean, tell you everything you need. Make that public declaration that you're staying together, that public apology to the family, all that type of stuff. Then marriage counseling therapy got to be in place and something that you continue to go through. And then, the situation, and I think, somebody on the outside looking in, you have to choose to stay. You chose to stay. So you got to choose to stay, choose to want to work it out. And that's forgiveness. That means you chose to stay, meaning I'm choosing to forgive you. And then also, if you're choosing to forgive someone, you can't keep knocking them over the head with it.
Right. And I don't.
Right.
But if I see familiar pattern, then I'm, hey, what's going on here? I see some similarities. Ain't gonna be no fool.
Right.
But I don't bring it up all the time. You know, we can go and not do it. And sometimes, because something that our kids are going through, we will actually talk about it.
Right. So talking about it is healthy. It shows, hey, how to get through. Y'all chose to stay together. Things like that. But again, you made a point of choosing to stay, so that's where it starts.
Yes.
Okay. So solution number one is he had to take accountability. No, solution number one is you chose to stay. Then solution number two is
solution number one was you figuring out where you want to be.
That's it. Where you want to be. You want to stay in the marriage or you want to go?
Right. That's solution number one. So
after he did that, solution number two was you chose to stay.
No, solution number two was we going to confront her. And then I'm going to choose to stay. Because I want to see how you going to act when you get us both together.
And how did that go?
She wouldn't even come outside.
Okay.
She wouldn't come outside. He was on the phone and he was like, it's over. She knows it's over.
How did you feel hearing that? Like he's on the phone with her.
I didn't want to hear that bullshit.
You didn't want to hear it? Okay.
I don't want to hear that. Because are you doing this just because I'm here? Because
all those thoughts going through your mind.
Because 2 days later you can still get out.
Right.
It don't change.
Right. Right.
You don't act right. You don't show me this is what you want. Then I can't do this.
Right.
But, counseling actually helped because he actually was listening in there. And even sometimes now he'll hit me with something that the counselor said, the exercises that we need to do. And he'll say, because her name is Lori too. Lori said, you need to do, you need to listen, you need to execute. I don't know what she said. There.
That's good. Okay.
So he listens, but again, I cannot be mad because you never know what's in somebody's head. I can't be mad at your truth. When we were going through this, when we chose to disconnect, could I have been the bigger person and say, okay, this is out of hand. This is getting out of hand. We need to talk. I could have.
Right. So you own your part in it because it takes two. Even though, again, we're not condoning the infidelity, but maturity is, wait a minute, let me see what role I played. Did I push him away? Did I not give him Right. And that's big of you to acknowledge your role in it. So that's why you said, well, I could get mad about so much because
I could have took that. I could have went that extra mile and knew, okay, we both in a vulnerable place right now. But even though he pissed me off, I'm still going to reach out and say, hey, instead of saying, okay, well, you get out, you go on your way and I'm going to go mine.
Right. And this reminds you of a scripture actually, anger and sin not, and don't let the sun go down your wrath.
That's right.
I see why God said that. Fix it before you go to bed. Fix it before the sun go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it can fester.
And it does fester.
And eat away. You know what I mean? So I get it. It just.
There were times we walked through the house when he didn't say anything.
Wow.
And I could have then stopped and said, wait, no, this don't even feel right. we can't do this because we done been through too much. But I didn't. I was mad. I was tired. Mm-hmm. I was angry because let's be real about it now. I am now carrying this house. That weight is heavy.
And on top of take care of mom, going her dialysis, picking her up, hearing all the reports from the doctors, this, that, and the third, all that stuff you got processed in your mind, plus your mother, plus your all that stuff. Then you taking care of things at work because you're a manager at the job.
Yes.
All that. And then now you got to deal with the fact that he cheated. Then the thoughts going through your mind, did this happen? Did this happen? Do I got any? Like all that type of stuff.
Yeah. There was times at the end of paying everything, I ain't had 2 cents to rub together. That makes you mad when you go to work and you work 100 and something plus hours and you ain't got 2 cents to rub together.
Right.
And then, the other funds are going elsewhere instead of in your household. So yes, anger was there. A little resentment was there, even though I agreed to it.
Right.
After a while, you're like, when is this going to end? When is this going to be? And it was a process because, after that, then after mama died, we had to fight for her house. We had to do things like that, which in turn, all family members were not on board, and somehow it got in my lap. And I ended up talking to the people on the phone and, but it was important to some members of the family to save the house, and to some members of the family, it wasn't with the siblings, with his siblings.
Hey everyone, do you know that We Support Caregivers has sponsorship opportunities? What a great opportunity to support the community and promote your business at the same time. We Support Caregivers offers sponsorship levels which include individual, small business, entrepreneurs, and corporate sponsorships. Our sponsorship packages are loaded with benefits for each sponsorship level. Some benefits include getting featured in our Care Connections newsletter, to a 60-second commercial airing during our podcast episodes. There is something for everyone. Are you interested? Visit WeSupportCaregivers.org to fill out the sponsorship interest form. Remember, your donations and contributions help us continue to help other people. We support Caregivers Incorporated because caregivers deserve self-care.
Looking at everything you went through when you were a caregiver for your mom, being married, share with the listeners, share with, the caregivers that could be in the same boat. They're married, they're caring for parents, and their marriage is going through some turmoil. Your marriage went through, and again, when you was taking care of your mom, his mom became sick. He started taking care of his mom. The weight, the stress of caregiving, caused or led to or triggered some infidelity from your husband. You chose to stay. Y'all chose to stay together. Provide some tips, some strategies on what any caregiver that could be in your shoes can use to not allow their marriage or to not allow caregiving to bleed into the marriage and bring it to that dangerous place. Share some tips on what they can do to still, manage the caregiving aspect of things, but not neglect the marriage. And then on top of that, not to neglect their own individual selves.
Right. You have to, one, take care of yourself. You have to know your body. My body is not the typical textbook body. So sometimes what the doctors tell me I need to do, it doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I have to figure out what works for me. So you have to do that. And then you have to put your marriage first. And if you see something, say something. Don't, like me, I let it fester.
Okay.
I didn't say anything right away when I started noticing the signs because I was too busy caregiving. But then when you lay down at night, and you both want to opposite side of the bed, you're thinking about this stuff, it makes you angry. I'm not going to say mad because dogs get mad. People get angry. It makes you angry. So if you see something, you have to say something. And then even though that person get defensive, you don't let it go. You sit down. You tell them, nope, we need to sit down. We need to talk about this right now because this is important. And if they don't want to talk about it, then you need to decide if this is where I need to be.
So let me interject. So, okay, would you say it got to be a time to talk about it? Because, look, he could have just got finished dealing with mom. You could have got finished dealing with mom. Could y'all allow each other to have a breather? So for your particular situation.
Right now. Right. I'm feeling it right now. I'm seeing it right now.
Okay.
Right now.
So it can't even be, hey, can we just give it an hour? And then we can come back and talk about it? Because everybody like me, now listen, when I get off of work, listen, when I leave the clinic, after take care of people, when I leave the clinic, I got to sit in my car for 30 minutes just to process, did I just go through that today? Did that just go on behind those doors? I mean, so I need a minute before I can address other things to get myself together, to mentally prepare myself, to not be in the, my mind need a shift. So for some people, they might need a moment to calm, relax, not have the day on them. Then we can say, okay, I'm ready. Let's talk.
But this is your marriage.
Okay.
It's important.
Okay.
And the longer you let stuff, because then you go take an hour, but then something else comes up.
Got you. Okay. I got
we need to be on this right now. We need to put a cap on this right now. And we ain't going to bed bad.
Right.
We going to finish this right now.
Right. Okay.
And that's whether you say, come on, let's go out to eat, and we're going to sit and talk about it.
All right.
Or let's go for a walk. Key is you always every day need to make some kind of physical contact.
Okay.
Whether you just walk past and you grab your partner's hand, or you rub them on the back, or you give them a kiss on the cheek, or you always need to keep that contact, that connection. So, it is important.
Okay, so number 1, take care of yourself. Make time for you, your self-care. Number 2, put your marriage first. After your marriage. Focus on the marriage, making sure you connect, you talk, you're having physical contact, intimacy and things like that. Okay, and what else?
You put God first.
Put God always first.
Put God first.
Always.
Then your partner, it is really nothing that I can't tell my husband. It's really not. I can tell him anything. Is he going to like it? No.
Okay.
But I can tell him. It's nothing that he can't tell me, and this is what he had to learn. I said, when you were in this situation and you got to that point that you wanted out, his fear of me finding out kept him in that situation longer than he wanted to be, because he didn't know what I was going to do. And I told him, as your wife, you should have trusted me.
Yeah.
Because I always tell you, don't lie to me.
Right.
If you lie to me, you're going to make me make a decision based on lies, not actual facts. So you should have trusted me to say, okay, I got to tell you this. You're not going to like it, but I need to tell you this because it's getting out of control.
Okay, yeah.
I wouldn't have liked it, but I'm still here.
Right.
I'm still here. So you didn't trust me enough. You didn't trust the marriage enough to know that the bond was strong enough for us to walk through this.
Okay, so trust.
Trust.
Gotta give the bad news, gotta fess up to what you do, and pay, and suffer the consequences, whatever that may be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That means if he would have told you, because he was in fear, if he would have told you and you hit him, that's just what it is at the moment. He got to deal with that. He called it.
Right.
Not saying that we're condoning that behavior, but
it's a natural reaction.
Right.
It's a natural reaction, but you got to trust your partner. And the only way you're going to do that is if you tell each other the truth. Hey, honey, do I look fat in this? Yup. You do.
You kind of outgrew it just a little bit.
Yeah. You don't want to wear that.
Right.
No. You don't want to do that.
Right.
You know, you have to do that. And that is the way. And we had this bad thing that we did. We could go all day and not talk. That's not a good thing.
So communication has to be very, very, very...
It's very hard. Marriage is very hard. And you can't...
Wow.
I mean, we would go and we would leave out the house around the same time, 7 o'clock.
So let me ask you this. Is marriage hard from your perspective? Because, you know, everybody might got a different perspective on marriage. But would you say, what made the marriage hard? Was it the fact that caregiving added to it? Mm-mm. So in general, marriage
is hard in general.
Okay.
You have to be, if my husband don't like to communicate.
Oh, okay.
He does not like to talk. And that was part of the problem. But he also didn't at that time trust that we would make it through the other side.
Right.
He just knew it was going to be...
Right.
Because of all this trouble that this girl done caused.
Right.
He didn't know. Now, look, when that girl stabbed my husband in the back, I looked for her.
Oh, my gosh. It's a lot.
Look, I forgot all about he had done committed some infidelity. You done stabbed my husband, and I'm looking for you.
Right.
Look, I had 7 police cars waiting for me at that TJ Maxx when I got there. Because when I left work, my girlfriend was so scared at work, she called the police on me.
Oh, wow.
Because she told them, I don't know what she going to do. When she get there, she knew what I was gonna do. She knew, but it wasn't. I was mad because you, the other woman, you girl,
you almost took him out of here.
Yeah, don't nobody stab my husband but me.
Oh,
you know, that is it. So it brought. It was just crazy. It brought us closer
the drama
together, and it allowed him to know
that he can trust you.
It ain't nothing I can't tell my wife.
Mm-hmm.
That we ain't gonna be able to make it through.
Right.
And that's the goal. And then you do some counseling.
Absolutely.
You do some counseling. And it was so nice because once he took accountability and he put it on social media, the friends that put interventions together for us.
That's true friends.
Yes.
That's true friends.
They was holding dinner parties for us.
True friends right there.
Yes. They were holding dinner parties, and we didn't know why we was there, and they would be like, okay, now look, what we going to do about this?
That's real friends.
What we going to do?
Shout out to the friends. That's
had
real friends.
One that when he found out, he was like, you better not ever call this job again. Every phone call that was coming through there for him, he was answering. He was answering. We had people rally around. So
it matters to have a circle of support that's going to say, hey, y'all need to work this out.
That was not judging. No, nobody was judging. They would, what can we do?
That's real friends right there. I got to say, that's real friends.
And we were fortunate enough to have that.
That support system.
Yes. Support system we didn't even really know we had because my husband is one of those types to walk around and make things seem like everything is okay when it's not.
Right.
And
I think that's something that could, you know, not trying to deviate, but when I think about our culture, I think that's just how we was raised in some aspect of the African American culture. What goes on in this house, stay in this house. I think that was a main, you understand? I think that's just something that's embedded in our culture, you know, that what goes on means stay in the house. And yes, to a point and no to a point.
Right. I cannot fake it till I make it. Right. I can't do that.
We ain't that
no. If it sit on my heart, I got to tell you about stuff.
Right.
You know, so all of that helped. And whenever we needed to reach out and talk to somebody, we did. I mean, they were there.
Good. So you had a good circle of support.
Yes.
True friends. Okay.
And his thing was, what were the kids going to say? And they rallied around him. They forgave him. Mm-hmm. You know, better not do it again.
Right.
Don't hurt my mama no more.
That's right.
But, you know, they rallied around him, and nobody ever makes him feel bad for what we went through. So
the forgiving part, the forgiving piece. So, you know, again, make sure, you got number one, put God first, you know. Yes. You know, then take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, then being very intentional about, you know, making time for the marriage, you know, being, you know, intimate and things like that. The counseling, you know, and then trusting, you know, your spouse, and then your friends, your circle of support, the people that had you.
One thing I always tell people, married people cannot hang around single people.
Right. I was reading that. Somebody else was saying that.
You cannot.
It was Bishop T.D. Jakes. I was listening to him. He was like, listen, you can't be married. Husbands can't be hanging around the single man because, if not, that can influence them.
Exactly. And that is exactly right. And it was our married friends that rallied around.
The married friends.
Yes, because the single ones all knew. But I told him, you sit up here and you being friends with these single people, them same single people done pushed up on me once or twice.
Jeez.
So while you was out there doing what you were doing and they knew, they came for me.
Oh my gosh. So they was plotting like, oh, if I can get a chance to get her. So they knew and didn't come to you and say, this is what happened, XYZ. They was waiting for things to unravel so they can take a shot at you for themselves. Yes. Isn't that something?
Ain't that something? Now I cursed them all out.
Oh.
Look, I don't have time for that.
Oh God.
But it was our married friends that rallied around us. One special, in particular, Walter Druitt, and two, Calvin Crettle. They were on it, but they're his friends. But they took my side. They took my side.
Right.
And look, they gave him what for? And they were true friends. Rest in peace, Calvin. He later passed on.
Okay.
But he lived long enough to know that we made it through.
Right.
And that was something because that pulled us together. We were by Calvin's bedside when they took him off of life support.
Wow.
So everything that happened, it happened in stages and it pushed us close together. But God first.
That's right.
Communication.
Mm-hmm. Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. Counseling. Mm-hmm. And good friends. Good married friends. Good married friends. That will help you.
That is wonderful. I mean, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you. It's always a pleasure to have you on because, it's called Caregivers and Candid Conversation.
Yes.
It's candid. It's nothing scripted. I say, hey, this is what I need. I want you to come on and talk about, and we just flow.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you, your transparency, sharing, maybe even kind of reliving some of it. But what you're sharing could be helping another caregiver.
Absolutely.
That could be in the same situation to the breaking point, so you could have just helped save a caregiver and their marriage.
Right. It's a testimony.
There you go.
I'm not ashamed of anything that I have went through because it ends up being a testimony for somebody else.
That's right.
An olive branch for me to help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep it bottled up, you're ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed at all. Right. Me and my husband, people say, I can't believe you stayed with him. Well, I don't need you to believe it.
That's right.
It's what I chose and it's what I want to do.
Right.
Mind your business.
Right. The whole business. Mind the business that pays you.
Yeah, that's right. So, yes.
But I thank you. Of course, this is not going to be the last time because you got to come on a couple more times talk about other things. But I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. And anybody listening, I hope that you can take what was shared, if that's your situation, take those tips and utilize it. And, by Monique sharing her testimony, there's hope for you as well. Until next time, take care of yourself.
Caregivers, you are very important people, and we want to celebrate you on your birthday. Join We Support Caregivers Birthday Club. The birthday club was created to celebrate caregivers who typically do not make the time to celebrate themselves. Each month, a caregiver is selected and is given a social media shout out, a birthday card, and a movie ticket to celebrate their special day. Join for free by visiting WeSupportCaregivers.org. And remember, you are very important people and you should be celebrated. We support Caregivers Incorporated because caregivers deserve self-care.